good twin and the evil twin from the Yuma tribe. This is how it all began. There was only water. There was no sky. There was no land, only nothingness. Then out of the water rose a mist, and it became the sky. Still there were no sun, no moon, no stars, just darkness. But deep down in the waters lived Kokomate, the creator. He was bodiless, nameless, breathless, motionless, and he was two beings, twins. Then the waters stirred and rushed in thunder, and out of the spray and foam rose the first twin, the good twin. With closed eyes, he cleaved the waves and came to the surface. He stood upon the waters, opened his eyes, and saw. There he named himself Kokomat, All Father. And from beneath the waters, a second voice called out to Kokomat, Brother, how did you rise? With eyes open or with eyes closed? Bakotal was the evil twin, and Kokomat wanted to make it more difficult for him to do harm. So Kokomat lied to him, saying, I opened my eyes while I was under the water. The second twin opened his eyes as he rose, and when he reached the surface, he was blind. Kokomat said, I name you Bakotal, the blind one. Then Kokomat said, now I shall make the four directions. He pointed with his finger and took 4 steps, walking on the water. Then he stood still for a while and said, Oh, this is north. Then he went back to his starting place, and in the same manner made the west, the south, and the east, always taking 4 steps in each direction and always returning to the center. Now Kokomat said, I shall make the earth. Blind Bakatals answered, I don't think you have the power to do this. Certainly I have, said Kokomat. Let me try to make the earth first, said Bakotal. Certainly not, said Kokomat. Kokomat stirred the waters into a foaming whirlpool with his hand. Then they frothed and swelled and bubbled. And when they subsided, there was land, and Kokomat sat down upon it. Bakotal was angry because he would have liked to create the earth, but he said nothing and settled down by Kokomat's side. The blind evil one said to himself, I shall make something with a head, with arms and legs. I can make it out of the earth. Bakotal formed something resembling a human being, but it was imperfect. Instead of hands and feet, there were lumps. It had neither fingers nor toes. Bakotal hid it from Kokomat. Then Kokomat said, I feel like making something. Out of mud, he shaped a being that was perfect. It had hands and feet and fingers and toes and even fingernails and toenails. Kokomat waved his being 4 times towards the north and then stood on its feet. It moved. It walked. It was alive. It was a man. Kokomat made another being in the same way, and it was alive. And it was a woman. Bakotal went on trying to make humans, piecing together 7 beings out of earth. All were imperfect. What are you making? Kokomat asked. People, answered Bakotal. Here, said Kokomat. Feed these people I have made. Yours have no hands nor feet. Here, feel. Mine have fingers, thumbs to do work, to fashion things, to draw bows, to pick fruit. Kokomat examined the beings Bakotal had formed. These are no good, he said, and stamped them to pieces. Bakotal was so enraged that he dove down deep beneath the waters amid rumblings and thunderings. From the depths he sent up the whirlwind, bringer of all evil. Kokomot stepped on the whirlwind and killed it, except for a little whiff that slipped out from under his foot. In it were contained all the sicknesses which plague people to this day. So Kokomot was by himself except for the two beings he had made. These were the Yumas. And in the same way that he had created them, Kokomot now made the Kokopas, the Degenios, and the Mojaves. In pairs he created them. Then he rested. 4 tribes he had created. After having rested, he made 4 more tribes: the Apache, the Maricopas, the Pimas, and the Cowhillas. In all, he made 24 kinds of people. The white people he left for last. The one he had made first, the Yuma man, said to Kokomot, "Teach us how to live." "You must learn how to increase," said Kokomot. In order to teach them, he begat a son. Out of nothing, without help from a woman, he sired him and named him Komashitamaho. He told men and women not to live apart, but to join together and rear children. Still something was missing. It was too dark, said Kokomot. There should be some light. So he made the moon, the morning star, and all the other stars. And then he said, "My work is done. Whatever I have not finished, my son Kokomashitamaho will finish." Now among the beings Kokomot had made was Hanyi the frog. She was powerful. Fire could not destroy her. She envied Kokomot his power and thought to destroy him. Kokomot knew this because he knew the thoughts of all the beings he had made, but he said to himself, "I taught the people how to live. Now I must teach them how to die. For without death, there will soon be too many people on earth. So I will permit Frog to kill me." Hanyi burrowed down underneath the spot where Kokomot was standing and sucked the breath out of his body through a hole in the earth. Then Kokomot sickened and lay down to die. He called all the people to come to him, and all came except the white man, who stayed by himself in the west. The white man was crying because his hair was faded and curly and his skin pale and washed out. The white man was also pouting and selfish. Whatever he saw, he had to have it at once. He had been created childish and greedy. Kotsoshamtaho, tired of hearing the white man crying, went over to him and tied 2 sticks together in form of a cross. "Here, stop crying," he said. "There's something for you to ride on." The white man straddled these sticks and they turned into a horse, so the greedy one was satisfied for a while. For the last time now, Kokomot taught the people. "Learn how to die," he told them, and expired. "I have to make what my father could not finish," said Komashatamho. He spat into his hand and from his spittle made a disc. He took it and threw it up into the sky towards the east, and it began to shine. "This is the sun," Kokomashtatamho told the people. "Watch it move, watch it lighting up the world." Then Komomashtamho prepared to burn the body of his father. But since there were no trees yet, he had no wood. Kokomashtamho called out, "Wood, come into being. Wood, come alive. Wood, come here to where I stand." Wood came from everywhere and formed itself into a great funeral pyre. Before he died, Kokomot had told Coyote, "Friend, take my heart. Be faithful. Do what I tell you." Coyote misunderstood Kokomot and thought that he was supposed to eat the heart. Como Shatamho knew this because he could see into Coyote's mind. So he told Coyote, get a spark from the sun to light a fire. As soon as Coyote was gone, Como Shatamho took a sharpened stick and twirled it in some soft wood until he sparked a flame. Look, my people, he said, this is the way to make fire. Quick now before Coyote comes back. With these words, he lit the funeral pyre. The people did not lament for Kokomot because they did not yet understand what death was. But before the flames had consumed the body, Coyote returned and leapt up quick as a flash to seize Kokomot's heart. He ran off with it, and though all the other animals and people too chased after him, he was too fast for them. Koko Shamtamho called after Coyote, you have done something bad. You will never amount to anything. You will be a wild man without a house to live in. You will live by stealing, and for your thefts, the people will kill you. After Kokomot's body had been burned, the people asked Koko Shamtaho, when will Kokomot come back? He will never come back, he said. He is dead. He let himself be killed because if he had gone on living, then all you people would also live forever. And soon there would be no room left on the earth. So from now on, everybody will die sometime. Then all the people began to lament. They wept for Kokomot and for themselves. They did not want to believe that he would never come back. As they sat grieving, they saw a little whirlwind like a dust devil rising from the spot where Kokomot had been burned. What is it? What can it be? They cried. Kosumatsu told them, it is the spirit of Kokomot. His body died, but his soul is alive. He will go someplace, north or south, east or west, but somewhere his spirit will dwell. He will never tire. He will never be hungry or thirsty. And though we weep because he has died, Kokomot's spirit will be happy always. And Komo Shatamho instructed the people in the nature of death. When you die, you will begin with those you love who have gone before you. Again, you will be young and strong, though you might have been old and feeble on the day you died. In the spirit land, the corn grow and all will be happy, whether they were good or bad when they were alive. So death is not something to be afraid of. And when they heard this, the people stopped weeping and smiled again. Then Komo Shatamho chose one man, Marhokyokvek, to help him put the world in order. The first thing that he did was to say, ho, you people, as a sign that you mourn the death of your father Kokomot, you should cut your hair short. Then all the people, animals, and birds did as they had been told. The animals at this time were people also. They looked like humans. But when he saw them, Kokomot Shuho said, these animals and birds don't look well with their hair cut, and changed them into coyotes and deer, and into wild turkeys and road runners, into the animals and the birds we have now. After some time, Komo Ashamtaho let fall a great rain, the kind that never stops. There was a flood in which many of the animals were drowned. Marhokuvak was alarmed. Komo Ashamtaho, what are you doing? He cried. Some of these animals are too wild. Some have big teeth and claws and are dangerous. Also, there were simply too many of them, so I am killing them off with this flood. No, Komo Shamtaho, stop the flood, pleaded Marhok Kabuk. The people need many of these animals for food. They like to hear the songs of the birds. Rain and flood make the world too cold, and the people can't stand it. So Como Shalatamaho made a big fire to cause the waters to evaporate. The fire was so hot and fierce that even Como Shatamho himself was slightly burned. Ever since that time, the deserts around here have been hot and the people are used to the warmth. After that, he called the people together and told them, over there is your father Komohat's house. We must pull it down because when a man dies, the spirits of his house and all of his belongings follow him to the spirit land. So people must destroy all the things he owned in this life so that their spirits can serve him in the other world. Also, after a man has died, it is not good to look upon the things that he used to own. Once he sees his house, but he who dwelt in it is gone. One sees his waterola, but he who owned it no longer here to lift it to his lips. It makes people sad and they sicken with grief and longing. Therefore, you, Yama people, must always burn the house and possessions of those who die. And you must move to another dwelling where nothing reminds you of the dead. Also, never again mention the name of him who is gone. He belongs to another life, while you must start on a new one. And from that time on, the Yuma have followed these rules. Como Shama Tamho took a huge pole, smashed the house of Komomat, and rooted up the ground on which it had stood. Water welling up from the rut made by the pole became the Colorado River, and in it swam the beings that Bakutahal, the blind evil one, had formed, the creatures without hands or feet, toes or fingers. These were the fish and the other water animals. Now, Kahak, the crow, was a good planter and a reaper. He brought corn and all kinds of useful seeds from the four corners of the world. He flew south to the great water, stopping 4 times on the way and crying, Kahak, Kahak. Each time he did this, a big mountain arose. After the overflow of the river, which Komohachatamaho had made, Crow bought many seeds from the south for the people to plant. The tribes had been scattered over all the world, but Como Shamtaho kept the human near him because they were the special people he loved. Listen closely, he said to them. I cannot stay with you forever. I am now only 1, but soon I will become 4. My name will no longer be Como Shatamho. I will turn myself into 4 eagles, the black eagle of the west, the brown eagle of the south, the white eagle of the east, and the 4th eagle, whose name is unseen because no man has ever caught a glimpse of him. When Como Shatamho had turned himself into the 4 eagles, he dwelt no longer among the Yuma in the shape of a man. He kept watch over them, however, and in their dreams he gave them power from Kokomat. Thus, Kokomat advises the people through Komohachu and tells them while they sleep, think about me. Think of what I taught you. Sick people especially should follow my teachings. Now, Bakotal, the evil blind one, is under the earth and does bad things. Usually he lies down there quietly, but sometimes he turns over. Then there is a great noise of thunder. The earth trembles and splits open, and the mountainsides crack, while flames and smoke shoot out of their summits. Then the people are afraid and say, the blind evil one is stirring down below. Everything that is good comes from Kokomat, and everything evil comes from Baktahal. This is the tale, how it was, and how it is, and how it will be. Retold from several sources, among them Natalie Curtis's report in 1909.